Hello, laddies. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Sorry, I was practicing that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a, well, not really an evening, but an afternoon stream, at least here on the Pacific Standard Time. My name is David. Today's show, like every single trading show, we focus on technicals and fundamental analysis. And well, today is no different. I got two charts, two altcoin charts that I believe look really good. One of them, Kaspa. The other one, XLM. And I'll go over why this might be the strongest altcoin chart in the entire crypto space, at least in the top 100. It is the only chart, the only altcoin that has not spent any significant amount of time below its 200-day moving average. You look at everything else, Ethereum, Bitcoin, well, maybe not Bitcoin, Ethereum, and literally every other altcoin has spent significant time below its 200-day moving average. And XLM is one of the few, if not the only one in the top 100 that has not done so. And this is such a bullish setup. I think any day now, XLM is going to absolutely explode in price. We'll go dig in. We'll dig deep into that. We'll take a look at Kaspa. We'll take a look at Pancake Swap and why the BNB meta. You still could potentially make some more money. There's money left to be made. And then this news broke. Now I know this is not related to trading or really crypto, but I thought it was interesting. JFK files releasing tomorrow. And then the BTC, I think we're going to see a nasty spill off here in Bitcoin. We try to reclaim that 84.1 level. We ultimately failed, as you can see here, just knocking on that door. We've gotten wicks above, but have failed to close. Well, we actually closed once, but very short. This is on the 12-hour. On the daily, we did have one close above, and that was on the 15th, which was a Saturday. And then we eventually came back into this bearish pennant pattern. And also, I think it was on the 12-hour. And also on the lower time frames. And we're just a lot of indecision. Bulls just have no momentum to really change the structure, flip that 84.1 into support. We're going to break down below. We'll take a look at what are some price targets to look at. If we do get that breakout below, which probability say we will. With that being said, if it's your first time here, welcome. Make sure to say hello. I'll be looking into the chat from time to time, kind of getting you guys' thoughts, conversation, and so make sure you're active. Also, hit the like button. And there was some uproar from the morning stream as far as the $100 giveaway. People were saying only mods were able to get in. We checked all the settings. The problem was with Nightbot, you have to specifically type the exact thing. So it was $100. You had people that were just putting 100, people that were putting $space 100. And so just when we do these, when we use Nightbot to draw, make sure you are exact in the words you use. And so, but Poman, congrats, my friend. We'll send you your $100 here after today's show. Let's take a peek. Also, if there's anything you want me to take a look at, let me know. I saw one comment in here from Ben Simmons, said thoughts on ENA. I'll give my thoughts on that. If I forget at some point, just remind me. But BTC flirting with 84K yet again. Let's take a look at the biggest gainers. Pancake Swap up 37%. Now, I did share this on the live show, but this was on February 18th. Our Patreon members, we talked about the BNB meta heating up as the meta, which is the current market narrative. Let me make this a little bigger. Use my mouse pad, which is, there you are. Come on, there we go. So as the new meta shifts away from Solana meme farming and moves to another sector, BNB is gaining traction. Below, you can see monthly users are rising on old and new accounts. Also, the stats below show how big this ecosystem is, backed by the world's largest exchange. And I talked about how recently CZ has come alive. And then we had some AI plays, and we also had Pancake Swap. Now, I labeled this as a pretty safe play if you're looking to play into the BNB ecosystem. A couple of important things happen here on Pancake Swap. One is, well, this candle still has 3 hours left to close, but we are officially above our 200-day moving average, which is very important. But I think more importantly, this happened on a large volume spike day. So the move is real. If we go down to the lower time frames, we could be potentially setting up here for a bull flag pattern. We throw on our high volume points, take a look at where a lot of buying and selling is happening. We had a massive one at $1.37, which 124 million cake tokens were traded. So you look perfect perfect touch point here on this wick. This is going back to the 10th of March, which was a week ago today. Last time price was down here, and we didn't look at this chart last week. We can't really, it's hard to really look at every single chart, but this one is definitely on the radar. We take a look at what happened last time price came down here. Its complete rally was 150%. The initial rally off the bounce here at this level was 55%. And we look, of course, in hindsight, now we're at a 2x from where this price target was. So a good area to keep in mind. We are pretty oversold on the 4-hour. Let's look at the 6-hour. Oversold on the 6. Oversold on the 12, and on my favorite, the 21-hour, blackjack, baby. Oversold there, and not quite oversold yet on the daily chart. But you can see here, $1.11 was a great area to pick up. But the question now becomes, well, what do we do with this chart now? Okay, so now, do not recommend, at least me personally, I am not opening any long positions. I want to see how this bull flag pattern plays out on the 4-hour. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. Nothing there on the 2-hour, and we're seeing some consolidation here in this range. And if I zoom, so let's first identify this range that we're seeing this consolidation. Do that we'll do one of these. Beautiful. Okay, and then we'll zoom out. We'll zoom out, we'll extend this box, and we'll see historically what did price action do. And we can even zoom out to the 12-hour. Okay, so our box is between, let me get it right on the, I'm pretty anal about this stuff. And so there you go, between 243 and 262. So let's go back to, and we can even go as far back. Let's go back to 2024 for Pancake Swap. Okay, so you can see this was a very key area for Pancake Swap, at least on the lower end, which is around $2.43. This was tapped at support multiple times on wicks, on closes. And then this is an area that before we completely fell through this region, we consolidated here for about June 11th through June 6th, for about 5 days, almost a week. Consolidated, fell completely through. Now on the way back up, we did have a clean break above this level. We came back to retest this region, and then we eventually ended up rallying. And again, this was back in November of 2024. We saw a nice 75% rally again on the way back down. We broke completely through on two large liquidation candles on the 12-hour. We came right back to retest, spent some time there, eventually broke above, saw a nice retest, fell through. So as you can see here, price action has been very key and important here. And this also coincides, for the most part, at least going back to earlier this year, where our 200-day moving average has been. So this is a very pivotal level for Pancake Swap. We missed that initial move to the upside unless you had an order in. I know I personally did not have an order in at these key levels, but we want to see how price reacts. I would expect some consolidation happening at these levels for Pancake Swap. I'm going to throw our brush tool on here. So expect to see some consolidation level here. And then are we going to get a break to the downside? Are we going to get a break to the upside? If we do get a break to the upside and we start to see this coming into play, what I would do, and if I'm looking to trade this thing to the upside, is I want to break above and I want to retest. And then once we get that retest, I'm entering in right at $2.62, and I'm looking to exit initially. Depending on what kind of volume we get on the move, if we get similar volume on the breakout, on the next breakout above, and also depending on where this price settles, I want to see this thing settle inside of $2.43, which is exactly where we are now, just a smidge above. If we can settle in here, spend, I don't know, this is on the daily. We can zoom out to the 12-hour. If you can spend a few candles, maybe 48 to 72 hours in this range, get a clean break above this $2.62 level, right? I want it to look something like this. Consolidate, break above, come back and retest this high at 273, get a clean retest, a bump and run, and then we enter on this retrace, and then we look to exit, I would say at least 50% or a quarter of our position right at $3.41. That was a massive sell area for traders. As you see, 700 million cake tokens were sold at $3.42. And then at that point, we'll reanalyze. We'll see what does the volume look like? What does the RSI look like? What are some of the other indicators telling us? And so we can use a bunch of things. And then ultimately, $4.53 would be where I would exit the rest of my position that I have open on this trade. So for now, cake, don't do anything. Wait to see what price does at these levels. We want to see consolidation. We want to see a break above. We want to see us retest the local high we had here around $2.75. And then depending on what price does, let's get a retest and let's take that thing to the upside. So that's Pancake Swap. Poman with a $10 super chat, and I'm going to give it back to you guys to open club on Friday. Keep the $100, don't lose YouTube fees, and open the club. Nah, man, we're you won that money fair and square, my friend. So if anything, we'll just do another giveaway. We'll give away another $100. We're all about giving it back to our community. Let's take a peek at the inflows of the ETFs. We had on Friday a decent inflow day with ARK Invest taking the #1 spot. BlackRock investors have really been struggling with inflows, as you can see here. Going back to the 26th of February, only 2 days of inflows. Everything else has been 100 million outflows, 150 outflows, and then you have those massive 400 million, 180 million, 240 million, and this is just BlackRock alone. And our biggest day we had, it's not showing up here, I believe it was the 25th of February, where we saw $1.1 billion of money flowing out. But this majority of it, for me at least, depends on what the NASDAQ does. And we looked at this NASDAQ chart. We've been looking at this NASDAQ chart. We talked about how this trend line going back 3 years was broken. Obviously, that is bearish, but even more bearish is breaking below our 200-day moving average. And it looks like at the time of charting, we are coming into, unfortunately, a bear flag pattern for the NASDAQ. And this move, the measured move, would be pretty massive. I don't think that's going to happen. If that happens, we're talking about what do they call a circuit breaker, where they just shut off all trading at certain levels of price depreciating. But I expect this range to continue to get tighter. This might end up actually being a pennant and then a break to the downside, I expect, which is why my thesis overall, I don't agree with Robin. I don't think the bottom is in. I think we get one more flush to the downside, which I'm ready for. I'm ready for that flush to the downside, scoop up some alts at cheap. And then after we get that flush out, everything resets. And then I think it's up only. And I think we're about 60 to 65% of the way through the bull market here. So there's still a lot of upside left. I'm still targeting like a $250,000, 300K for BTC. Obviously, there's a lot at play. Macro is going to be very, very important. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Putin and Trump are expected to talk. And then, of course, speaking of tomorrow, let's listen in on Trump's announcement here on JFK files. And let me throw my headphones on. And so this was earlier today. Let me adjust these real quick. And let's take a listen.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard. And that's going to be released tomorrow.
Interesting. I know a lot of people, and again, this is nothing trading related, has nothing to do with Bitcoin, crypto. If you try to maybe figure out like, all right, what does this mean for crypto? I don't think it's going to cause, I mean, maybe the stock market, but I just can, unless it was like, I don't know, like a name on there related to, but that would be more for me like the Epstein files. This one, I just think it was so long ago. I doubt a vast majority of the people that were involved in the Kennedy assassination are still alive today. So I don't see it affecting the markets really at all, but it's just something interesting. I know a lot of our community has brought that up multiple times after Trump got elected. So it's an interesting update. Again, nothing to do with crypto or trading, but there you have it. Some of the other biggest gainers, let's refresh this page. And then we'll dig into the Kaspa and the Stellar Lumens chart, which, as I mentioned earlier, two of the best looking charts. Pepe seeing a nice rally, up almost 13% on the 24-hour. Axie Infinity Could we see a resurgence in Axie Infinity? Let's take a look at that. I mean, last time I checked, this chart was pretty damn ugly. Let's take a look. Now, if you remember, and this is something Forrest has brought to our attention on our live show multiple times, how Axie Infinity just absolutely nosedived in the last market cycle. And then it had that massive rally. And let me get rid of our MA band. And I think this is what he was talking about. Yeah, I think it was this move. This was from low to high. It was a 1,800% gain. And then we had a drawdown of 80%. And then guess what? Axie Infinity came to life. It rallied from its low of around $2.50 to an all-time high of 160. That's an 80x from some low-level wannabe Pokemon game. I know I'm throwing a little shade at Axie Infinity, but we talk about value proposition. I mean, if that can run that hot, I can only assume like actual gaming projects. I'm trying to find to see if there's any patterns here. And so as far as Axie trading, I mean, that level is a very important level. You can see it's been a key support level. We try to hold that on the way down, but we ultimately failed. So if for some reason you're bullish on Axie, not a lot of volume there on this move. RSI is trending up. See a decent candle. This was setting up for a bear flag pattern, but it looks like it was invalidated on this move. Now, it's still about 2 hours and 42 minutes left for this candle to close. So this could just end up being a nasty wick to the upside. But if for some reason you're like, I'm sold on Axie, it's not a trade I would take. But I would be eyeing that $4.15 level as a very, very important area of resistance for Axie Infinity. This is not something I hold in my portfolio at all. I have other gaming plays that I'm super bullish on, and you saw a liquidity grab here at $3.28. So yeah, I mean, but nothing really. I'm only showing, really, I don't even want to look at the chart. I'm only showing it because it's in the top gainer. Now, top losers. Pi Network, don't really mess with that. SHIB, 7.6. This thing was at a $44 billion market cap, and it's sitting at 7.6. Not something I would touch. And the Story Protocol, we kind of talked about this on the AM live show last Friday. And what Jason Zhao, the founder of Story, believes to be a $70 trillion industry opportunity for blockchain being intellectual property. This one came out of the gates extremely hot. And let's take a look at this chart. And I promise we will get to, let's go, you know what, actually, let's go here. Let's go Bybit. Now, not a lot of price action to look at on the higher time frame. So we'll zoom into the hour. Looks like we got a tightening range here. Let's throw on the Bollinger Bands, see what they're telling us. So the Bollinger Bands did break to the downside. Let's throw on. So no high volume points there. Trend is still red, right? And you take a look at, so mixed signals here. The 4 hours showing negative price action, right? A negative trend, but the 30-minute, 1 hour, 12 hour, the daily, and the daily are all showing green. And so this is a project, it looks like, at least on the hour, coming out of a falling, I mean, this is a pretty steep decline, right? We had that massive rally, $6.38, and it's just been this curve down. And what I actually want to do is I want to throw on an anchored VWAP. Let's go to the 4 hour. Let's find a high volume day and let's figure out what our anchored VWAP is telling us. Okay, so we're essentially range bound. Now, if you want to enter, whether it's for a spot bag or let's just say a swing trade, you want to get a retest of lower band 2 here, which is $5. We'll call it $5.10. And so we're trending that way anyways. You see what price did here earlier. It chopped sideways. We saw some wicks to the upside. But when we came back to retest on this close, we saw a pretty nice rally out of Story Protocol. This one went up around 30%. And you see here, this thing has kind of been range bound within these levels here. We did get a push to the upside. We broke above. Too bad we couldn't stay above this, because that would have been a really nice change of structure on this one, at least on the lower time frames. But as far as a trade is concerned, I'd be looking at waiting for a retest of this lower band 2 here, which is right around, again, $5.10. I feel pretty confident, seeing as last time price was down here again, we had that 30-40% rally. I want to wait to tap this level, see what price does. But volume, as you can see, is fairly low. It's fairly low, and we've seen some price action to price pump. RSI is kind of chilling at 45. We take a look at money flow on our liquidity flow index. Money flow is currently red, and our price sentiment is trading below our midline. That's at least on the 4 hour. If we zoom in maybe to the 1 hour, let's see if we're changing. It is in fact losing steam, and price sentiment is trading above our midline, so that's a good signal. But again, pretty low volume here. And so story protocol, something that came in hot, not something I'm touching. For a trade, look at $5.10. That is, I believe that was on the 4 hour. Yeah, $5.10 on our anchored VWAP, going all the way back to February of this year. Again, harder to gauge key support and resistance levels with not a lot of really price action to go off of. And if you go on to the daily, actually, if we keep that same pivot point on our anchored VWAP, we got a clean retest on the wick, right? And this was on the daily today. We got a wick down to $5.27. So we didn't quite get there yet, but this would have been a pretty important level. So as far as story protocol, wait for this thing to retest that $5.10 to $5.15 region. Should be a nice swing trade to the upside, and look to close your position around $6.28. As you see here, every time price has reached this level, we've seen a retracement. The first one, we saw a wick up here, and I won't even measure the wick. We'll just measure from where it came, or where our anchored VWAP upper band 1 is. That was a 30% retrace. And more recently, we did get a close here, and this retrace was around 15%. That's story protocol. Now, Kaspa, this chart's looking pretty bullish. This is on the daily. Falling wedge channel, broken to the upside, and we have a confirmation on a retest. Break to the upside, came back. We closed right at this upper trend line, and now we have a positive candle. And you're seeing a decent amount of volume here as well on Kaspa. On the 4 hour, it looks even cleaner, okay? This 4 hour looks much cleaner than the daily. And you can see here, just I don't want to call it perfect, but this is pretty damn perfect. This falling wedge pattern. And again, just an absolute, this is what you want to see. For a structure change on a chart, this is exactly what you want to see. In fact, we had 2 retests. So technically, this retest, if you would have opened a long trade, you would have been up 8% multiplied by your leverage. On this retest, another 4% multiplied by your leverage. So it looks like we might be trending along this upper trend line. As long as we stay above it, that would be very, very bullish for Kaspa. As far as a trade setup on KAS, those of you that bought around 5 cents, congratulations. We harped on that 5 cent level for a while on the live show in the morning. So your spot bags are looking nice. If you entered into a long here, also hopefully you took profit as you came to the top end of this channel, and we got rejected. Also, a large sell orders coming in around 1.67 billion Kaspa tokens were sold at this level. We also had a liquidity grab to the upside around 7.65 cents, but the chart looks pretty good. And 200-day or 200-hour, 200-day moving average on the chart here. You see tapping that as resistance. Also, we had some confluence on this large volume node that ended up being around 1 billion Kaspa that was sold, got rejected. But the more important thing, again, where are we finding levels of support? And you're finding levels of support at these key trend lines on the lower time frames, on the higher time frames. So Kaspa chart looks really good. And honestly, on the higher time frames, if you're looking for a trade setup, I would feel very confident getting into a long at around 7.37 cents. Honestly, I'd feel confident entering a long right now on Kaspa. Could we see a little bit more downside? Sure. But then again, you risk waiting for 0.02 of a penny for a better price entry. Just lower your leverage a little bit. Instead of going like, I don't know, 12 to 15x, go like an 8x leverage. And that 0.02 of a penny that's not really going to make a difference at all, really. And then as far as getting out, setting some take profit levels, the immediate level I'm looking at is around 9 cents, which is the lower end of our value area box here we drew, which, as you can see, when price fell through, we came back and failed on a retest to get back into this region. That's between 9 and 10 cents. So that 1 cent region here. And you can even go back to November of last year. This was a key area, at least the top end of this was a key area of support for KAS as the price rallied 86% off of that bounce. So I expect that price to act as resistance on the way back up as we look to change the structure on the higher time frames for KAS. But if we can live above this 10 cent level and start to retest that 13 cent, which also has some confluence with our 200-day moving average, the chart for Kaspa changes dramatically. And Kaspa had a really, really nice rally while everything else was kind of flat. And then again, when everything else was starting to rally, Kaspa was bleeding off. But I think the structure of the chart at least is changing for Kaspa. And then XLM. XLM, you look at this is on the daily, by the way. An absolutely gorgeous falling wedge that is at the end of its pattern. You're seeing confluence on support levels. The support level here at 25.8 cents. We had a liquidity grab here. 4.86 billion XLM was bought last time price came down here on this volume node. This is going back to February 3rd. We closed one time below our last band on our 200-day moving average, and we came right back. It was essentially a V-shaped recovery, as you can see here. Very, very positive. And so that is where we are now, coupled with being at the very tail end of this falling wedge pattern. And if you go down, you work your way down, and let's remove our MA ribbon, and let's throw on the Bollinger Bands. This thing is ready to move, man. I mean, look how tight those bands are. That's on the 12-hour. This is on the 8-hour. This is on the 6-hour. This is on the 4-hour. And so volatility is coming, and everything is telling us that we are going to get a big break to the upside. And again, I mentioned XLM is one of the very few that has not spent any significant amount of time below its 200-day moving average. Let's go through them. Ethereum spent plenty of time below its 200-day moving average. Solana has spent plenty of time below. XRP, okay, so XRP is one of the other ones. I didn't say all of them. Even BNB, that's seeing a massive rally. Once it broke below, it spent, what was this, from the 25th of February to, so around 20 to 22 days below. Doge, same thing. Cardano. If you go back to middle of May of 2024, so these are altcoins that are showing strength. And of course, Tron. Tron never spends significant. It's the best hedge against Tron, and BNB are the best hedges against bear markets, I'm telling you. But even projects like Link, very solid utility project. They spend a lot of time below the 200 moving day average. That's AVAX. This is SWI. This is Toncoin. This is Hedera, one of the other few. And so these are projects that are showing strength. And so we can assume moving forward, when the macro changes and retail has more money and people become excited again, and the fear and greed, which, by the way, where is the fear and greed index? Fear and greed index BTC. $32. Last week we were at 20. We're at extreme fear. Let's take a look at this max chart here. And remind you, 2021, this was our bull market here. Okay, I know this is not a very good chart. It's pretty dull, but we were in the 90s, right? The only time you really get down here is during bear markets, with the exception of August of 2024. But even then, we were at 17. And so we got down to, what was this? This was like 12. And so the sentiment is in the gutter. And once that changes, once people stop being fearful, once we get a little more clarity on Trump, the tariff wars, what he's doing, the macro starts to become better, those projects that have been living above their 200-day moving average, the XLMs, the Hederas, not the Solanas, the XRPs, those ones, we should see a pretty big bounce. So XLM, again, going back to this chart, By the way, my limit order has not hit yet. But this is a very strong chart on XLM. And again, Bollinger Bands are telling us we are going to get a big break. And actually, if you look on the 1 hour, let's zoom out on the 1 hour. Actually, let's go to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, right? Got a break there, but a lot of indecision in the markets. Small bodies, long wicks, indecision, but we're grinding up. And so, again, I don't mean to say it 6,000 times. I would have a long position on an XLM. That is probably my highest conviction trade as far as a swing trade or a scalp is XLM long. Look to take some profits at 35 cents and completely exit your position at 43.7 cents. Do like a 10 to 13x leverage. Or if you want to go on the low side, 8 to 12x leverage. You'll make some pretty good damn money. And this is a very, very long, it's been in the works for quite a while, for literally 3 months. And we're finally getting a breakout. All things point to a breakout to the upside for XLM. Super bullish on the short-term price action. All right. Got 124 people in here, 55 likes. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I dig this guy. He has a high neck, makes me respect him. What the fuck does that mean, dude? I don't think I've ever heard anyone tell me I have a high neck. Interesting. I'm curious what my wife thinks on that, because as soon as I'm done here, I'm like, hey, babe, guess what someone told me in the chat today? I have a high neck. What are your thoughts? A1 said, I did okay if it wasn't for cancer at 38. I've been in better financial position. Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, that sucks, man. I lost my grandmother to cancer. I can't even imagine going through what she went through, especially you. So, A1, man, hope you're on the mend, brother. Yeah, sorry to hear that, man. Let's see. Username Jesse's in here as well. What's going on, everyone? Bobby Bat. I got to get ready for my X Spaces. Want to give this channel some love. Talk to you later. Thank you, Bobby. We appreciate it, man. Appreciate you dropping in. ES said that video will show you the difference between DC and buying all at once. Pretty informative. I don't know what video you guys are talking about. It's 10:30 p.m. Uncle Jesse Cobbs. Okay, so nothing. Anything you guys want to take a look at? I'm curious on the charts here. I did want to take a look here at BNB. Now, I still think there's room to run on this BNB meta. I really do. The Patreon post is from a month ago, which, by the way, if you're not part of Patreon, I highly recommend you join. It's $50 a month, but it's some really good quality research. And we have a Discord channel in there as well. You can be part of that community. It's pretty good. But you take a look at daily deployments, and we're hitting higher highs and higher lows. So this is looking pretty good. These are contracts, tokens being launched on the platform that's going up. That is all good for on-chain metrics. You can see active addresses over the last 24 hours up 18.34%. Transactions over the last 24 hours up 30%. Things are moving on BNB. As mentioned before, CZ has come alive. But look at this. Users, top 5 entities, Binance. Shocker, 73%. But again, it's good protection to the downside, guys. And you take a look at transaction volume. It had a peak on the 13th of February where it had a little over 8.1 million transactions with only 740,000 failing. And I say only in relative to how many transactions were actually successful. And we've looked at other charts such as from Solana, and the rate of failure on transactions is pretty astounding. And BNB, I know we've said it before, it's kind of known as like the scam chain, but doesn't mean we can't make money trading it. Doesn't mean we can't make money with the ecosystem plays. And so that's one thing to take a look at. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about too was this post here from the Kobayashi letter. Let me take a drink of water. Now, gambling is a massive market. Prediction is a massive market, prediction markets. And so look at this post here. Robinhood rises over 5%, their stock, after announcing a new prediction markets hub with Kalshi. This will bring prediction market trading to 25 million users on Robinhood's platform. Betting, gambling, prediction markets, tie that in with AI, it's going to be absolutely massive. So now that we know that the largest, I can argue, the largest retail-driven trading platform on Wall Street, which is Robinhood, now that they've integrated that, stock price has reacted positively, meaning The market as a whole and investors look at this as a positive development. How can we make money in our space? The first thing that comes to my mind is BitTensor, okay? And I can bet you, and I'm actually very curious, what subnet 6, I believe. So we have a few subnets on BitTensor that are, one is subnet 8. This is your proprietary trading network. But the one I want to look at is Infinite Gaming. Infinite Games. So that is up 1.4%. This is, I believe, Aeon 5100 is part of this subnet, but there was another one. I think it was subnet 46. Let me go in here, check out the subnets, and then I'll give you some plays within the sub. So we have Infinite Games. That's one. That is where Aeon 5100 lives, and I believe that is where D King lives as well. But there was another one. It's in the 40s, I believe. Subnet 40, Sport Tensor 41, and also 44, 41. So 6, 41, 44. Sport Tensor is sports betting predictions, and 44 is predicting scores of matches. So let's take a look at how these coins have performed. Let's look at D King. D King is down. Its market cap is sitting at $3 million. And I think this is an absolutely great pickup. The team is amazing. They've been on our show. I've met with them. So this is extremely undervalued. Now, very high risk, but also potentially very high reward. Let's look at Aeon 5100. That is actually up 20%. This is another one that we've kind of labeled in our favorite AI plays. So this is also very undervalued. This one got up to a 30 million market cap, got up to around $2.37. Amazing team behind it. The other one is Billy Betts. Billy Betts, this is a virtuals play. That is up 28%. This chart looks really, really good. And this is another one. Again, I highlighted this in one of our Patreon posts. It was titled Easy Money Hack. And so it was essentially when these prediction engines, these AI agents, when they start hitting on plays, the price goes up and you just sell and then wait for them to have a bad day. The price will tank and you just buy, and you kind of see, like, this was a Billy Betts, 25% candle to the upside, 34% candle to the downside. This was a 12% candle to the downside. This is a 35% candle to the upside. And there's multiple different, examples I can show you. But so those three altcoins plus BitTensor would be one of them. And just look at AI predictions. You talk about AI prediction markets in a meta, within a meta like BNB. ChainGPT is a great example of one, although it's not really a prediction market. But my biggest play would honestly be BitTensor. And let's take a look at a BitTensor chart. I have a pretty big position on BitTensor. I feel very confident in the project. You're looking at one, and I had, let's make this chart a little cleaner here. Let's go to the 4-hour. Let's get rid of some of these. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. So BitTensor looks like you have a tightening range. Let's get rid of our volume points. And this is a symmetrical triangle forming here on BitTensor. As you can see here, kind of price staying within this region. Now, symmetrical triangles, they're 50-50, right? They can either break to the upside or they can break to the downside. And so what I want to do is I want to go on to the longer time frames and see. Now, this could be overall a bigger bear flag pattern on BitTensor, but these patterns can be invalidated fairly quickly, but we'll see. So for me, this would be a wait and see on top of bumping up against this key level of around 267 as a resistance level for BitTensor. And let's throw on our volume point. Let's see if we get any data points right at that 267 level. Nothing on the daily. Let's go on the 3-hour. Are we seeing anything on the 3-hour? We had one around 795,000. BitTensor was sold there. But we're getting close to the end of our triangle here. And so we're going to get a move. Now, the move is going to be to the upside or to the downside. Again, this is 50-50. But if we're starting to see some traction in the predictions market, in the betting niche, it makes sense for BitTensor from just a narrative standpoint, not technicals, but from a narrative standpoint for BitTensor to see a rally. We saw a rally in Robinhood. We're seeing a rally in Aon 5100. We saw a rally from Billy Betts. And you want to talk about AI engines and prediction markets, there's really none better than BitTensor. And so, but the trade for me here would be wait and see. Break to the downside, wait for a retest, and then short it. Break to the upside, wait for a retest, and then long this thing. And then the key levels you're looking at to exit is around, first level would be $275. That would be the first level. I'd be looking to take some profits off the table. And then the next one, if we go out to the higher time frame, let's go to the 8-hour. And I want to throw on an anchored VWAP. Let's get rid of this. I want to throw on, let's go here. So then my next level would be on my upper band 1, which is sitting at $340 even. So those would be the levels. So 275 and then 340 even. I know those are pretty big gaps, but you see this upper band 1 on our anchored VWAP. It was support and then fell down resistance. We almost retested this here back in March 2nd. It was on the 8-hour candles. And ultimately we fell down, caught some support on lower band 2, and then never really made it down to lower band 3. And so these are important. It tells you what at certain volume levels, and you always want to pick a high volume, right? A high volume candle. And we picked this one back from February 2nd. This again is on the 8-hour. That is what I'd be looking at. But for me, BitTensor is a no-brainer long-term hold. If you're bullish on AI, if you're bullish on infrastructure, BitTensor at $255, so undervalued. And so I'd highly recommend you guys at least put it on your watch list. Not telling you what to do or what to buy, but at least put it on that damn watch list. Take a look at the chat here. Poor men I know, but also people brush off people who are overly demanding too. That's why I do one mod thing per year. I don't know what's going on there. Let's talk about IMX Gaming. I don't know if I want to. Hitting the like won't hurt. I agree. A1 said hitting the like won't hurt. I endorse that message. My focus lies on SWI. SWI, I love SWI. Fetch, yes. Kaspa, yes. Aether. You know, I've seen that Aether token in here a lot. Maybe I should do a little digging into that one. Paul Clinton. Welcome, Paul. I haven't seen you in here. Make sure you subscribe, my friend. KAS could top out at $1 this cycle if it gets Coinbase and Binance smart contracts. Yeah, I guess he'd top out at $1. Nothing wrong with $1. I mean, it ran from a penny to 20 cents. So 5 cents to $1 is a what, a 20x? Nothing wrong with that. And so you give Kaspa another cycle. If you guys have the patience to give Kaspa one more cycle, you'll make a lot of money. So that'll do it for the show today, guys. Thank you all so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and then we'll see you tomorrow. We got Mark Yusko joining us live. It's going to be an amazing conversation, as it always is. Ben Simmons, I will talk about ENA tomorrow. I promise that'll be one of the first things I talk about. So my apologies, but I got to get going. I love you guys. Until tomorrow. Peace. Daggy.